Have you wondered about weird pop culture beyond the 80s and 90s and what Amy, Aaron, and Heath have to say about it? So have we. Join us on Patreon for bonus episodes and exclusive content where we explore the 2000s, go down weird rabbit holes, and more. Plus, you could send us your own fuzzy memories, unmitigated gall, and other messages for a chance to play them on air. It's all on Patreon. Find the link in the show notes.
Hello.
Hello. We're going to talk about a number of things today, including 1986 and our gall. But first, we need a special report because you went to like your spiritual home, right?
I did.
So where did you go? And tell us about it.
Okay. So for spring break, my family and I drove to Tennessee, specifically the Pigeon Forge area, specifically Dollywood. So we rented a cabin, and that was nice. And we went to Dollywood for 2 days, and I'm not ashamed to tell you that when I walked in to the first place, I cried.
I mean, that's the right reaction when you meet God, pretty much, right? Yeah.
I mean, the boys were a little thrown off and like a
all
little
right.
weirded out, but I was like, just go with it. It's probably not the last time today. Because everything there was amazing. Like it's an interesting place because it's a blend of like an amusement park and like a museum type thing. And so they were very gracious on the first day. They said, we'll just do all the shows you want to see and all the like exhibits you want to see. So you like we could take
Your
our
family
time.
said this to you. Oh, that's nice.
And then day 2, we were going to do all the rides that they wanted to do.
Okay.
So worked out great. I got to spend all the time, do all the things. They have her tour bus there that she used up till like 2009. They have a whole separate building that's full of like costumes and different things she's worn and like how they come up with it and like information from her costume designers. They had like one that was just all about her career. Like you walked room to room and it was a different part of her career. And then throughout the park itself, they had like a full replica of the house she grew up in Tennessee, which is just like a 2-room little shack. Like if you were worried about going there because you felt like Dolly was going to be in your face all the time, didn't get that feeling really. Like when you're in the rest of the park and doing the rides, like you're aware that you're there, but it's not.
So her face isn't like the head of the roller coaster or
no,
anything?
really.
That's
The rest
what I was picturing.
Yeah, I know. Me too, kind of. I mean, to the point almost that I think they could do more.
Okay.
Like I think they could push it a little more.
Yeah.
I mean, they do some cute things like their soft pretzels in the park are like butterflies. Which this is a fact I learned about. She apparently loves 2 things, bald eagles and butterflies.
Oh.
And when she was first starting out, her costumer said, really hard to work bald eagles into costumes.
Yeah.
So let's go with butterflies. But she runs a bald eagle sanctuary on the park.
Wow.
Like for the birds they find that are injured.
That is random as fuck.
Isn't that random? It's so random.
Do the bald eagles and the butterflies coexist in the
I
sanctuary?
think so. Yeah.
Okay,
They had this
interesting.
beautiful area, and you could go and kind of see, like, they had open areas, and then you could see, like, the trainers working with them. Like, some of them, they were, something had happened, and they were learning to refly or whatever, and the goal of it is ultimately for them to be re-released, but she's had a few that she's kept because they can't be. Like, they just can't function on their own in the wild anymore, so...
So you did not see Dolly herself, though, bummer.
No, she was there the Friday before.
What?
Because the park actually opened the weekend. Friday
For the
was
season,
like
it opened for the
It's
season.
open for the season,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So for the shareholders or whatever, like memberships, there's a special day on Friday to go preview all the new stuff for the season, and she was there.
Could you smell her or feel her
yeah,
presence?
you could feel it.
Okay.
Because it's
All
the
right.
40th anniversary, so everyone was talking about how, like, yeah, she's going to make more visits this year, and...
So you're feeling like fulfilled by this?
I was,
experience?
yeah,
Okay,
I did feel
good.
yeah, very much, yeah.
Yeah. It made me think about like, obviously, who else should have a theme park?
Oh, yeah.
Do we think Mariah should at some point, or like, is that not her thing?
I don't think she would show up at it.
True.
She ran, for years, she ran a camp in upstate New York for like kids that lived in the city that like were, underprivileged
Yeah.
or whatever. And they would bus them up to the camp. So it was called Camp Mariah. And you got to spend a few weeks out of this camp out in the middle of the woods.
Wow.
I will say the one thing I was super worried about, and I even talked to the kids going up there, I was like, look, we're going south and you're probably going to see some MAGA / Trump stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it would be like at the park. And I did not see one single political t-shirt, hat, anything.
Really?
I mean, I saw some like Christian-y ones, but not like nothing overtly Trump, nothing MAGA. I was shocked. And I will say too, I don't know how. It is the cleanest theme park I've ever been to. Like that place is immaculate. Like everything is beautiful.
Do you think the bald eagles clean it like at night?
Maybe.
Like they know they've got a good gig, so
Yeah,
they're like,
we'll
we'll take care of this.
We'll help.
We got it.
Yeah, I think so. And
Okay.
everyone is so friendly. Normally, I kind of hate those kinds of things because people in lines get weird and then it all feels like tense and everybody's like, none of that. Even we were there spring break, so there were some longer lines and like people were so friendly and kind and just like, I mean, I was impressed.
I feel like if you can go to Dollywood and be an asshole, like you're a special kind of awful.
Yes.
Like I just feel like the vibe at Dollywood is probably just like
It's very
That's
like,
true.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do the MAGA people still like Dolly? I mean, because she's, she.
I know. She has like a very Christian base. She always
That's
has
true.
because she
Yeah.
started out kind of in like the gospel-y type space.
Yeah.
So I wasn't
She
sure.
likes the gays.
She
and
does,
likes the,
yeah. And so I don't know exactly where they fall out, but
Huh.
I was just figuring Southern.
Oh, yeah,
know,
for
like-
sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And I'm not a huge roller coaster fan. They did get me on 2, but they have just a ton of roller coasters at that place, and they're all ranked in the top 10 roller coasters in the United States. And
Oh.
Mike and Evan can tell you more about that, but I'll tell you that they got their clocks rocked and they love roller coasters because they came off one and they both sat down and just said, we're going to need a minute if you guys want to walk around.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike said, there's one that they lock your legs in. Like he's like, I had a bar locking my legs in and he said it wasn't as tight, like it was clicked, but it didn't click all the way. And the worker put his foot on the bar and shoved it down on Mike. And Mike kind of made a face and the worker goes, you're going to want it that way.
Jesus Christ.
And they took off and Mike said, my ass wasn't on the seat the whole time. That's why your legs are locked down because you're up and it's the only thing keeping you in the chair.
Oof.
That is not a draw for me.
No, not me either.
No.
Mason and I, why they did that roller coaster, because they had to wait a little bit. We went back and went through the childhood exhibit again,
Nice.
where we listened
Yep.
to stories.
Good job, Mason.
Yeah, Mason was like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, neither am I. And Local Connection,
Oh.
the parent company that helps her run Dollywood, just bought Adventureland.
Oh.
So get excited.
Do you think Dolly will stop by Adventureland?
I don't know, but let's keep the hope
I
alive.
hope she's got better stuff to do.
I hope
Me
she does.
too. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope she has better things
I hope
to
that
do,
also
yeah.
doesn't mean that you're going to go to Adventureland a lot this summer. And
No,
just like,
I don't.
okay.
No,
All right.
you don't have any Dolly exhibits. That's
Yeah.
really what I
Yeah.
was interested in. The rides I could have taken. Yeah.
For those not in Iowa, how would we describe Adventureland? Just a minor amusement park, perhaps.
It's
Like
an-
when we
it's
were
an-
kids,
yeah.
it was
It seemed like a big
legit.
deal then.
Yeah.
It's like a click above a carnival.
Yeah, that's a good
where
yeah.
it comes in, I feel like
It's
carnival, you always
manageable.
question a little bit of the ride, but like,
Oh, yeah.
and at Adventureland, I think that's healthy to do as well.
Yep.
Because it doesn't ever really seem, and maybe this company will help with that, but the upkeep
true.
always seemed a little bit on the
Yeah.
scary
Well, just
side.
like any good amusement park, it was staffed by teenagers.
Yeah.
So
Teenagers and old people.
And old people, yep.
Everyone was under the age of 20 or over the age of 80.
Yeah.
That's the only people who work there.
which is historically the people you want on
Yeah.
machinery, and
I almost died at the Adventureland Inn when I was a kid.
What?
I almost drowned in the pool.
Heath.
Yeah. Like I have a very strong memory of it. Like I was like, kind of edging along the side and going in the deep end, and I lost my grip on the side, and I was drowning in the pool.
How old were you?
7 maybe.
Ay,
My parents were sitting there talking to their friends on the deck, and their friends, he's the one that saw me bobbing up and down, and they pulled me out. But yeah, I was
There's a world where we would have never met Heath
That's
because he
terrifying.
died at age 7.
We would have known him as the kid that died at Adventureland.
Yeah.
Remember when that kid died at Adventureland?
Yeah,
I
because
never
his
went
parents
back.
were too busy chit-chatting to notice that he was drowning.
That
Yeah.
tracks. Yeah, exactly. That's about right, I think.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
traumatic.
Do you swim now? Do you know how to swim?
yeah, I know.
Okay.
Okay. I don't get in water where I can't see my feet.
Good call.
So
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'll do a pool.
That's not a bad rule.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good rule.
That's a good rule.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Should we move on to our gall for the
Let's
whatever
do
it's
it.
been for the week?
Mm-hmm.
My gall is the doctor pre-check-in process.
What is that?
I don't know if this is just an Iowa clinic thing. I don't think it is. I think this is, across the land. And I really don't like it because, well, many reasons. One, I don't like going to the doctor. So you start texting me right away and you give me anxiety about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like that. I also don't like that there's a bunch of redundant questions.
Yeah.
Like it sends you to this link and then it's asking, what's your date of birth? What's your social security number? Which leads me to believe that I'm falling for a scam
Right.
from some scam factory that the Iowa clinic is in cahoots with. And I don't like that. Also, the 15 forms that you make me sign at the start, I'm anxious enough. I'm not reading them, so I'm just signing them. I don't know what I agreed to.
Yeah.
And I don't really care at that point, but now I start to wonder.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Did I give my body up for, just whatever they want?
Yeah.
Also, all of that then to just sit in the office and get told what I'm doing wrong or what I need to do more of. And also told to not worry so much. So it's just a wonderful like chef's kiss combination of,
Just don't worry.
Don't worry about it. But
Like,
also
as
worry
if
about
anyone
this.
that's ever helped anyone ever.
Oh, I hadn't thought about just stopping worrying.
Cool.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Awesome.
I thought this debilitating anxiety was just something I had to live with. Who knew? I could just
Meanwhile,
stop.
you're telling me pretty soon I'm going to need these vaccine and this vaccine and this vaccine. And also I need a colonoscopy and a mammogram and da-da-da-da-da-da. But don't worry. Calm down.
Calm down.
It's fine.
Mhm.
It's fine.
It's got some unmitigated gall.
It does. It does.
It's not mitigated.
Also, quit acting like you don't have all this information.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. I'm like, why
just
are
ask,
we...
has anything changed since the last time you filled out this form? Oh,
Yeah.
no? Okay, well, there's 10 minutes back. You don't have to
Yeah.
fill out these 7 pages
Yeah.
of things.
And then when you go there and actually check in, it takes just as long
Yes.
for them to like find the insurance and find my file and everything. I'm like, why did I do all of that?
Yes.
Again,
Mhm.
did I just give my info to a scam factory?
It does
Mhm.
feel that way. Mm-hmm.
All right. Who wants to go next with their call?
I can go.
Okay.
My unmitigated gall is people who think that putting a fake owl somewhere on your house prevents birds.
What?
I am over it.
Wait. This is a thing?
It's
Yeah.
a thing. I saw one today as I was leaving my neighborhood on a front porch chair, an owl. And I said, what possible problem could you be having with birds on your front porch chair that requires an owl? I see them on the back of people's houses all the time. Like they don't. In the area that I live in, there's fields around there because guess what? It was nature. It was natural before we built these homes. And so all these birds come, and I'm guessing what they don't like is birds pooping on their patio or whatever.
But we do live in a world where
We
there
do
are
live in a
birds. Yeah.
I also have come to realize that I might be pissing some people off because
Oh.
I take a different approach, which is that I allow the birds to nest in my back patio. And there are some that come back year over year. It's like whether it's their families or whatever, I've read about them, they come back. So I leave their nest up because they use the same nest. They make it
Yeah.
out of mud, structure, whatever.
And all the birds are talking and they're like, that lady. She gets
Yeah.
it. She
And
gets
so
it.
they come. I usually go through a period every spring where they run into the glass repeatedly for like 2 days and then they figure it out. It's fine. But it's never occurred to me like, hey, let me get a fake owl and just keep these birds away from my house. Like, how could that be such a big problem that you took your sorry ass to an Ace Hardware and said, give me that big ass fake owl. I'm going to attach it because somehow that's better. I'm going to attach it to the back of my house. And I'm telling you that if the birds aren't nesting, you're not getting the level of bird poop that you think you are because I'm not getting that much and they're nesting. Now, I'm not saying I'm not getting any. I have to wash off the patio sometimes. I get it. But like, I'm not drowning in it. I'm not like, I need a fake owl because I can't keep up with this. Like,
So the idea is that the birds see this fake owl and they're like, fuck no, and then just
They
fly
think it's
away.
real, yeah.
yeah. And they're like, oh,
I didn't know birds were scared of owls.
I don't
first
fuck
off.
with owls.
Oh, okay.
Apparently,
Owls
that's what.
will eat that bird.
Well, owls are pretty gnarly.
I mean,
That's
their
true.
heads turn around. So
That's
I
true.
think
That's
birds
true.
are like, that's
Mhm.
no thank you.
Yeah.
But when I saw it on the front porch, I thought, You come out some morning and a bird's just having a cup of coffee in your front porch
Yeah.
chair, and you thought, I won't have this. I won't have this kind of trespassing.
Yeah.
Why? Why is it there? Why
I don't
isn't
like it either. I didn't know this existed before 10 minutes ago, and I don't like it.
I just feel like it's something we should question more. I think it's just gotten under the radar. And I think if you see your neighbor and they have an owl in their front, on their front porch, you should be allowed to go up and be like, why though?
Also, it's great fun having birds nest, especially when you have cats, because I have birds that come over to this spot right here.
Yeah.
I'm looking out the window, and it is an annual rite of passage for the cats to be like, yes, I wish I could murder that bitch.
And sometimes, like last year, we got like a island bird that made it like a tiki hut. He put ornamental grass all the way down the front of his. Every day I went out there was some other shit hanging from his nest, and I was like, the other birds wouldn't go in it. It was solely his, because everybody else is like, that's a disaster. And he was just living his best. He's probably the type of bird that leaves his Christmas lights up all year. And
for some reason, I'm picturing him as Nathan Lane, and he's just, he's decorating, and
it was just, and that was probably the most mess we've ever had to clean up, because it would get windy and little things of grass would fall. Like there was always a pile of debris under his nest.
Okay.
But then the next day, you come back and one whole side had feathers. Like he just found feathers and put them in. I loved it.
He was really digging the decor situation.
He was.
Yeah.
And why you want to miss that? So you can look at a big fake plastic owl when you're outside?
I will offer a counterpoint to the bird thing.
Oh, let's hear it.
Because we have a tree right outside of our bedroom window.
Okay.
And birds sometimes will nest there. And that's fine with me. But shut the fuck up, birds, until I wake up.
That's fair.
When I wake up, you can wake up. We were actually just having a conversation, Michael and I, yesterday about it. I was trying to think of ways to, I don't want to harm the birds, right? But I'm like, you think I could, make a lasso and put it around the tree? So there's a rope in through the window that I can hold onto from bed and just yank the tree when they start making noise.
I like that. Yeah, I like
No,
that.
you're just observing quiet hours.
Right.
That's perfectly acceptable in a shared living space.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I did wonder, can you buy bald eagle urine online? Because I thought maybe I could splash that on the tree.
Oh,
maybe
are they anti-bald
I would
eagle
think.
urine?
I would think
Okay.
the same. I would think bald eagles would, murder a bird like a
I think
sparrow.
you can
just for
probably
fun.
get that at your local Ace or Earl May.
All right.
Also, there's got to be lots of uses for bald eagle urine.
Uh-huh.
It would be a multi-purpose cleaning solution of some sort, and disinfectant.
Wow, your wood's so shiny, bald eagle.
Yeah.
Put it in your lemonade.
Yeah.
You could
What's
be
the tang?
You
love
could
it.
become an influencer, and your whole niche is bald eagle urine and the uses for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a market for that. I think no one is filling that need that people have.
Wow.
I mean, I would prefer that to a big fake owl. So
Yeah.
But I also feel like, birds are, I don't know how smart birds are, but
Yeah.
wouldn't a bird figure that out at some point that
That was my
owl
thought,
hasn't
too.
moved in 3 months?
yeah, I
I
don't
would think
think
you'd be
it's
able to
effective.
tell. Yeah.
So that's what kind of also bothers me is you are so annoyed by this. You did this really minimal effort thing, and then you're amping up your annoyance that now you're putting one on your front porch too. And I'm like, it's interesting to take a strategy that hasn't worked and double down on it.
Also, if I was a bird and I saw that this guy thought that I was dumb enough to follow for a fake owl, I'd be like, I'm dive bombing that house.
I'm getting
urinating
this
all
guy
over that
every
house.
time he comes out.
Yes.
Anyway, that's
a
my
good
unmitigated
call.
gall.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about you, Heath?
My gall is a T-shirt I saw last night out in the wild.
Oh.
Out in the wild?
Yeah. We went to dinner and then went to the new mini golf place downtown. Fat Putter is what it's called.
Oh.
It was fine.
It's an activity. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, I mean, as far as mini golf courses go, I was just like,
Just picturing some advertising of theirs.
it was fine.
It was fine. Okay.
but there's two things that I saw last night there. There's a T-shirt and something else. The restrooms at this place, instead of just putting an M and a W on them,
Oh no.
it is on the women's. It was the figure of a woman from the stomach to the thighs, with a martini glass in the middle. Where
Okay.
her business is,
Mm-hmm.
and then the same for the guy, except for in the middle there was an outline of a beer bottle. And it was just so stupid and needlessly gross.
And also,
just
we're still
dumb.
adhering to the fact that we need separate fucking bathrooms. All right. Anyway.
So there was that, but the part that really, the thing that I saw last night that really kind of caught my eye was this man, and he was wearing a T-shirt, and it said "Gunpaw" on it in big letters, and underneath it said like a regular grandpa but with a lot more guns.
No.
And it was such a lame fucking brag.
Somewhere
And also, I wouldn't
right
want-
now, his daughter-in-law is like, we need to talk about your dad because
Yeah.
he can't be around the kids anymore.
Exactly. Like, I'm not letting my kids go over to that house. Not to Gunpaw's house.
Also, Gunpaw. I mean,
That's just bad.
wow.
Yeah. I wondered, like, you're like, who hurt you? Like, why are you like
Yeah.
this? What happened?
Yeah.
What
Good call.
happened that you think this is the flex that you think it is? Because it's not a flex.
It's not
I
a
would
flex.
want to know if he made that shirt or if he bought it.
That was my question. Is someone producing this on a mass scale?
Yeah.
Are there enough Gunpaws out there to sustain this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's a lame.
I'm sure there are.
It's a
That's the
lame
scary
thing
part.
to like. This is what I want you to think of when you think of me. You know.
Yeah.
You know how like grandparents have established a name for themselves, you know, like Nana or whatever. Do you think this guy is like, call me Gunpaw?
Probably.
Gross.
1,000% he is.
Gross.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because probably the other parents are like liberal parents, and that dad's like, or that grandpa's like an retired art teacher, and he's like, I'm gonna be Gunpaw because you got a puss cake over there for Grandpa. Like, what?
Also, puss cake. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Mhm.
thanks. I was getting into character.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Method acting's my
You
new
are
thing.
excellent at method acting, especially when it comes to marketing meetings and Gunpaws.
Getting Gunpaws.
Yeah, real good.
I will say separate, we can cut this out, but in Tennessee, not at Dollywood, but 3 separate stores we saw that were fully dedicated to Trump, just a Trump store. And I was like, where else in history have we ever seen something like this?
Mhm. But what I kind of like about that is I feel like he's not getting any of that money. I
No,
feel like
it's
he
not.
doesn't. He doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
you're
So I
right,
mean,
yeah.
fuck those people, but at least they're ripping him off. That's,
Yeah, that's
kind of
true.
funny.
Mike said he was
And it's
gonna-
all made in China, too.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is-
Oh, yeah, which is
yeah,
even funnier.
yeah.
But Mike said he was going to go into one and be like, where's the J.D. Vance section? Anyway.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yes.
Also, can
Amy's so good at transitions.
I am. Also, can we get an update on the YMCA?
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's been a nothing but peace and quiet and loveliness
Really?
since then. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the person who was at the desk that day is not. I've not seen him since then, so I don't know if
Well,
he.
maybe they
is-
got rescheduled or something.
Yeah. But in the morning, yeah, it's just everyone's back to just making real dumb small talk.
Is there any members that have permanently left?
Not that I've
Okay.
seen. No, the 2 people that I know got told, well, I'd be happy to help you cancel your membership. They're still showing up. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Also, but like now you can't unsee that. Like you can't look at Tony
No.
and be
Yeah.
like, or the dude that was banging on the windows and just
Gunpaw,
look at them,
probably.
Gunpaw,
Right.
and look at them with a normal, like they reveal themselves in a way, you know?
Yeah.
yeah, they did. It is interesting because you kind of, when you see somebody regularly and you don't talk to them every day, you kind of, whether you do it intentionally or not, you kind of build a persona in your mind of like who that person is, like just
Yeah.
by
Yes.
observing them, and then when they are totally different from that,
That's
is
very
jarring.
hard. Because that's like my
Yeah.
favorite pastime is to make up stories for people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, like, when it is that shocking and different, then it really hurts you to your core because you think, what did I miss? There were signs
How
there
did
that
I
this was
miss
in
this?
this person
Uh-huh.
this whole time.
I'm going to be the person on the news that's like, I don't know, he seemed like a really nice guy. I didn't realize he had all those kids locked in his basement.
There was that moment where he pounded on the YMCA at
Yeah.
4:59 in the morning, but
it
you
was
know.
4:59.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow. Okay. Well, keep us updated if there's
Yep.
any more violence
I will.
at the YMCA at 5 in the morning.
There's any more
And
violence.
it doesn't make the local news.
Oh, it
doesn't
should.
make the Axios
It should have
newsletter.
should have made the local news.
Yeah, it should have.
Compared to some of the other stuff I see on there.
All right. So should we, before we check in on 1986 again, a recap?
A
little recap. All right.
Recap.
Previously on Fuzzy Memories, I talked about Labyrinth,
You did.
and I maybe traced back my love of villains to David Bowie as Jareth. Yeah. I talked about the Challenger explosion, so, cheery good times. I also talked about a few different weird news items, but including that Prince Andrew married Sarah Ferguson in 1986
Fergie.
and went on to blissful, unending happiness for both of them.
Yeah, super successful marriage.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, really. a pillar.
Aaron, you talked about Popples.
Yeah.
You also told us the story of the jury that was stuck in the Otis elevator, the jury for the Otis elevator case stuck in the Otis elevator, and what you found on the homepage, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
You also talked about the debacle that was the Cleveland Balloon Fest.
Remember that? Oh my gosh.
Just letting a bunch of balloons up in the air.
I love that no one ever got to the end of that.
Nope.
Never thought through that one time.
Heath, you talked about Three Amigos. Classic. You also talked about designing women and gave us a monologue.
Oh, yeah.
One of your favorites.
Oh, that was so good.
And you also talked about Madonna's Papa Don't Preach.
He does not. To this day.
To this day.
This day, I declare.
So to start us off for 1986, I'll go and I will talk about a movie called The Highlander.
Oh.
Or just Highlander. I don't think there's a the, actually. Which is a movie I loved, but is objectively a total mess. And just not great. But it's there nonetheless, and it was a touchstone of my childhood. It stars Christopher Lambert as Connor MacLeod, a Scottish Highlander from the 1500s who's one of a few immortals in the world. First problem is Christopher is French, barely spoke English, and his resulting accent is an absolute travesty that makes no sense.
I sometimes, when you say a movie that was like a touchstone for you, I think, wow, I never heard of that or I didn't see it. And then you read the first part of the description and I'm like, oh, that's why. Okay, yep. I would have been out immediately on...
On the accent?
No, on the whole
on the
description
storyline.
of the 1500 Scottish fighter. I'd be like, nope.
Whereas me, this was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. So we're in 1985 New York, and Connor meets an old enemy in a parking garage, as you do. And instead of saying hi, they have a sword fight.
Oh.
And Connor beheads the guy.
He had a sword on him?
Yeah.
I mean, he just walks around with his sword. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. I mean,
yes.
that's probably smart if you're a Highlander.
He is pretending to be an art dealer, so it is a little weird that he's just carrying a sword around, but he's got it. He's got a sword. So Connor beheads the guy. Then he sort of sucks his energy up.
Ooh.
And in the process destroys the garage. And we learn this process is called the quickening.
Oh. I don't like the name. I really don't.
Did he leave a note like for all the cars that got wrecked?
Just to point this out, like there's a process during the childbirth process called the quickening.
Oh no! Well, the guys that wrote this had no idea of that, I'm sure.
No.
So he's arrested, but he's released because there's no proof because he hid the sword before the cops came. Clever.
Genius.
Our boy is clever.
I clearly couldn't have done it because I don't even have a sword.
Meanwhile, Brenda Wyatt, who is a metallurgy expert who's working for the police.
Oh, yeah.
Because that happens a lot. Yeah.
A what expert?
Metallurgy. So metals. Working for the police.
What?
Yeah.
She's an expert in metals.
Yep.
Okay.
This is so specific.
She finds shards of Connor's sword at the garage and discovers they come from a Japanese sword dated around 600 BC.
Whoa.
Oh,
But it's made
shit.
with medieval era methods. So she's like, I don't get this. So she ends up following Connor around like a perv.
So only case she had in her whole time at the police department.
She's like, finally.
Yeah.
Something to do with metal.
The chief stood up that day assigning cases and he's like, Brenda, you're up. We got some medals.
It's time.
Yeah. And everyone was like, oh, shit.
So meanwhile, we learn about Connor's history through flashback. He was a warrior, and he was dealt a killing blow by a guy named the Kurgan in battle.
Like his first name is the?
I hope so.
Yes. Yep.
Hey,
He's played by... I'm realizing how stupid this movie.
Yes, but it's a memory that you have
Yes.
from 1986,
Yes.
and that's important.
Uh-huh.
And you know that other people out there loved this movie.
Yes. The Kurgan was played by Clancy Brown, who went on to be in like Carnival. He plays like a bad guy in a lot of things.
Okay.
Got himself typecast.
But Connor recovers, and so everyone thinks he's a witch, and they drive him out of the village.
Oh, this is in his previous life.
Yes, this is in the 1500s. Yeah.
I was like, back in New York, I was like, the East Village? Greenwich Village?
I was like, what?
Did he have to move to Queens?
So in Scotland, he lives in isolation, but somehow he finds a woman named Heather and they shack up, and all is quiet until I can't even get that.
What did Heather do?
Oh, no.
No. Until Juan Sanchez Villa
Should we leave it at Juan Sanchez?
No, because there's more.
Oh.
Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez arrives.
Oh,
Oh.
shit.
And despite
So they gave one guy the Cregan, and then they put all the names on
yeah.
Juan.
but despite this name and who you might think plays it, it's Sean Connery,
He
Who
was
was
never
playing-
He was never out of the running, I don't
who is
think.
playing a swordsman from Spain who actually has a Scottish accent.
I was
because
gonna say, isn't Sean Connery actually Scottish?
he is actually Scottish, and he
But they
tries
cast
to
him in
do-
the
They
Spanish.
cast him as a Spaniard,
Okay.
and they try to get him to do a Spanish accent, and it's atrocious. So we got accents flying left and right in this movie.
This
okay?
reminds me a little bit of in Wonder Woman, where Gal Gadot couldn't change her
Yes.
accent, so they made everybody else
Everyone.
change their accent to sound like Gal Gadot. Like that was just on
That
Themyscira.
became
That was just the
Themyscira,
way.
yeah.
That was the accent from
Yeah.
there.
That's
Something.
tough. Yeah. Okay.
So Juan has come looking for Connor to tell him what's up because he's immortal like him.
Yeah.
And immortals are destined to battle each other and suck up their energy
For sure.
because in the end there can be only one. And that one will win a prize. We don't know what that prize is.
Okay.
More evidence that games are terrible.
I bet it's another sword though.
I bet. Maybe it's a metallurgy expert.
Oh yeah,
I mean, maybe you get one. I don't know.
maybe it's that lady's heart.
Yeah.
What is it, Betsy?
Brenda.
Brenda.
Should be Betsy.
I was like, Betsy, did I miss another character? Brenda, you getting after
So
it.
Juan trains Connor, and the two become friends. But one night, while Connor is away, the Kurgan finds his home,
No.
duels Ramirez, and decapitates him and leaves.
Sean Connery got decapitated.
Decapitated.
Whoa, they were like that accent is so bad.
It's
They're
so
gonna
bad.
Cut your head off.
Meanwhile, the Kurgan doesn't really talk much, so he's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't expect it from a guy named The.
Yeah. Years later, Heather dies of old age. Swearing never to love again, Connor wanders the earth. So now we're back in 1985.
Oh, okay.
And the Kurgan has arrived in New York.
Shit.
Brenda's investigating Connor, who eventually explains his true identity. And as you do in 1980s movies, they have the sex after
Oh.
that.
And Brenda she was just like, okay, I believe you.
I
You're
believe it.
immortal.
Got
You're
it.
from
Again,
This
she's
sword
a metal
proves it.
expert,
Right.
so
yeah.
After the sex,
Mm.
the Kurgan kidnaps Brenda
Oh,
to draw
Brenda.
Connor out. There's a final showdown where Connor decapitates the Kurgan, absorbs his massive power, which
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
very sexual,
you marry.
and wins the ultimate prize.
Brenda.
No, just her metal testing
Okay.
kit.
And what it is actually is Connor gets to return to Scotland with Brenda, and he's now a mortal man. He can age, he can have children, and he's now able to read the thoughts and feelings of people around the world. And that all, lasts a few years until the sequel.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
When it was released in the US, it didn't do very well. But it's gained wide popularity in the years since. It's become sort of a cult movie.
Because there's
Okay.
2 or 3 of them now, right?
Yeah, there's 4 sequels. There was a television series. There were lots of other spin-offs as well. And one thing that was really good about it, though, is Queen did the soundtrack.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
song Who Wants to Live Forever is just fantastic. And a final bit of news that you might like, Mr. Heath Smith,
Oh, yeah.
which is they're going to reboot the movie,
Okay.
and Henry Cavill is confirmed to play the lead.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
He's just like, there's nothing you're gonna bring me into, and then he's like, oh, yep, okay, you got me.
And they're rumoring that Michael Fassbender is going to be the villain.
Oh.
We don't know who the villain is, and they're going to use music from Queen in the reboot film.
As they should.
So, The Highlander. That was something I watched a lot. I was like, give me the Frenchman who can't speak English and
Done.
his bad accent.
Done. All right. Well, I don't know if you're aware
Oh,
that in 1986, on October 5th, beloved news anchor Dan Rather was assaulted on Park Avenue
Isn't that the Richie Rich area
Yeah,
of town?
just beaten
Oh,
on
gosh.
Park Avenue.
Really?
A doorman had to come to his aid. Apparently what happened, according to Dan Rather, is that a man approached him and asked Kenneth, what's the frequency? Rather said, I think you might have the wrong guy. The man then struck Rather in the face, and Rather retreated into the lobby, where the man and an accomplice, which were both well-dressed, followed him and said again, what's the frequency? And began striking and kicking him again and again.
Jeez.
Until the doorman came to his defense. I'm not sure, like, you're in a lobby, so I do have some questions
Right.
about
Like, how
the
long
fact
did
that-
the doorman watch before he did anything?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, they're going to take care of this.
Yeah.
I don't want to get involved.
And if you read just like the overview of them, like there's a few news reports that was just like a brief overview. It just says the doorman helped. But when you dig into it and they brought it into the lobby of the hotel, I'm like, well, did the doorman help or was he just forced into the situation?
Yeah,
Like, because if
yeah.
it was outside, was he going outside? I don't think we can give him that credit yet. But what's extra weird is that was actually the third attack on Rather.
What?
That summer, there was an intruder in his Long Island rental home. And in 1980, he was in a New York taxi and he went on some sort of wild chase. The cabbie just went all the way through New York. Dan Rather felt like he could not get out, like he thought he was being kidnapped. And at the end of it, the cabbie claimed that Dan Rather was just trying to get out of paying his fare. So he just drove him all around a bunch of places. Yeah.
Okay.
So it seems a little odd that Dan Rather's at the center of some weird.
I'm wondering what
kind
he
of
was.
attacks.
I mean, this was on Iran-Contra time. Was he reporting on stuff that was making people mad? or
I'm
something?
guessing. I mean, REM famously wrote a song, "What's the Frequency,
Yeah.
Kenneth?" You know that, but you have to sort of wonder. But there has been nothing. There's like no reports anywhere of saying that they were connected. They never really were able to fully identify these people. It's not like anyone was brought to justice for it. Like
So
it's
weird.
just sort of this thing that happened, said these weird things, and then and he was like beat. Like there's not. I mean, black and blue, like stuff all over. I mean. So yeah, that was where I went too, is like he must have been reporting on stuff that was upsetting
Yeah.
people, but then this seems very specific. But there was also sort of, when you read between the lines of the news articles, there was also kind of this weird thing that made me feel like Dan Rather wasn't super cooperative.
Oh.
So then I was like, was there some sort of
Maybe there's some shady shit out there that he
yeah.
was doing.
Didn't he say what's the frequency, Kenneth, like during a newscast?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Before he got beat up. So that's what they were
Believe so.
referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you. I wonder whatever story he said that on was controversial or pissed them
Yeah.
off. Or that's
Yeah.
It feels kind of like stuff that could happen now. That
It
like people get
does, it
pissed about
does,
what's
yeah.
on the media.
You know, and
And-
that's been something interesting as we've done this. Like you go back and read different things and you're like, oh, okay, there's kind of a history of this, or this
Yeah.
kind of thing happened before. Not that I don't know if that should make you feel better, but it is a little bit of a balm to be like, okay, well, this isn't completely unprecedented.
I know for me, it's because, we were kids in the 80s, so we didn't really understand what was happening in Reagan America,
Yeah,
but
right.
it was fucked up. And like,
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah, very much so. And that I think that's what reminded me of it too, is that Mike and I listened to that Reagan audiobook on the way to and from Tennessee, and it talks a lot about kind of how he paved the way for what we have now.
Yeah.
And there's so many similarities to things that happened after he was elected and things that he tried to do. And it was interesting in that sense, and kind of like, okay, well, we have sort of been through this before on some smaller level, but anyway, yeah. So Dan Rather assaulted.
wow. I wonder how long it took
1986.
before he went back on camera again.
I want to say that in the article they said it was very quick.
Really?
Yeah.
So they
yeah.
just pounded
they
piled
just
on the foundation.
piled on the foundation.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, they were kind of attributing it to like, what a great newsman. Like, you got right back out there. And I'm like,
Okay.
okay. Also, probably with like, if you think of Anchorman with Will Ferrell, just makes me think, no woman's going to take my job. Put the makeup on and get me out there. Like, okay, Dan.
That's probably
Maybe
exactly
you should pay
what
your
happened.
gambling debts
Yeah.
so that you're not getting beat up.
That was my
outside.
thought, was Loan Shark. Like,
Mhm.
he
Mhm.
owed some money.
Especially with the break-in over the summer, it feels
Yeah.
like monetary to some degree.
All right, what do you got, Heath?
I have a movie called Back to School.
Oh, yes. I watched this a lot, too.
This movie came out in June of 1986, which is curious timing for a film called Back to School, because that's when everyone's getting out of school for the summer. It stars the one and only Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh boy.
His character's name is Thornton Mellon. who's a very Rodney Dangerfield-like man who has become very financially successful in life, despite not really getting a formal education of any kind. Thornton's son, Jason, who he used to be close with, is currently enrolled at Grand Lakes University. And he's thinking of dropping out because he's not getting the grades he wants. He's not getting the girl he wants. He didn't make the swim team.
Oh, man.
And he's getting bullied by the quintessential 80s bully, William Zabka.
Oh, Johnny.
Yeah, he played Johnny, the bully in The Karate Kid, and he was the bully in just one of the guys. In this movie, his character's name is Chaz, because obviously
of course it was.
that's his
Oh,
name.
man, that's a tough name,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's rough.
Yeah, you
real
hear that
rough.
today, and you're like, what? People are
That
still
kid
doing
was-
that?
Yeah.
You name your kid Chaz, you want him to be a bully. That's
Yep.
what you're
do.
you're
Absolutely.
raising
do.
a bully.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
After Thornton discovers that his wife, who's Jason's stepmother, not his biological mother,
Okay.
is having an affair, he leaves her and goes to see his son at college, going so far as to enroll as a student to keep his son from dropping out. It turns
Solid
out
plan. Yeah.
it turns out that Thornton doesn't have like academic credentials needed to get into college, so he just makes a big donation, and the dean lets him in.
Okay, sure, yeah.
It's kind of I feel like maybe that's where Felicity Huffman got the idea for the Stanford admissions.
Oh, you're
scandal,
right.
maybe.
Yeah, this was like on TBS,
Yeah.
and she's like, I've got it.
Got it.
Aunt Becky.
Yeah.
This is what we do. So Thornton clashes with the dean of the business school because Thornton's practical business experience kind of at odds with the dean's theories on the business world.
Sure.
It also doesn't help that Thornton flirts with the dean's girlfriend, who's Dr. Diane Turner, who happens to also be his literature. While Thornton's winning over the whole campus by throwing parties, Jason kind of earns a spot on the diving. Well, he doesn't kind of. Jason earns a spot on the diving team and starts getting close with fellow student Valerie. And this pisses Chaz off because of his own personal issues, I assume. But they're manifesting as anger towards Jason because he just doesn't like other people succeeding. I
Who
suppose.
hurt him,
Yeah.
as you said before.
So yeah, things are starting to look up for Jason. But even though they are, he still feels like he's living in his dad's shadow because his dad is, this larger-than-life Rodney Dangerfield type person. So yeah, Thornton continues to be a terrible student and hires people to do his homework. He even goes so far as to hire Kurt Vonnegut to write a paper about
Oh my
Kurt
God.
Vonnegut,
Yes.
which he gets an F on because Diane is his professor in that class, and it's very obvious to her that Thornton did not write that paper. So the dean of the business school publicly accuses Thornton of being an academic fraud.
Oh,
was the term he
fraud?
used, yes, and suggests that he take an oral exam conducted by all of his professors to prove that he's actually studying for his classes.
Oral.
Yeah.
That was the most Beavis and Butthead moment that has ever happened on this podcast. Oral. Well played. Well played, Amy.
Yeah, thank you.
And obviously, Thornton is pretty sure he's going to fail. I think anybody that was actually attending the classes would probably be a little nervous about sitting in front of all their professors and
That's
being
no
quizzed like
good.
that. So the exam begins with a 27-part question from the dean of the business school.
27 parts.
What in the world?
Yeah. So with a lot of encouragement from Diane, who is still his teacher and is probably crossing some lines here, Thornton does finish the oral exam. He sure does.
Sure does.
Right across that finish line.
Later that day at a diving meet, Chaz fakes a cramp so the team will lose because Valerie chose Jason over Chaz.
Poor
So,
Chaz.
yeah, so they're down a person. With the help of a very questionable understanding of the NCAA's eligibility rules, Thornton, a former diver himself, is recruited to fill in for Chaz and performs the legendary Triple Lindy, a dive so dangerous that anyone not in top physical condition, such as Rodney Dangerfield,
Yeah.
surely would perish.
I was going to say, I don't think he has the physique for diving, but,
No.
you know.
He doesn't,
Whatever.
no.
Yeah.
So obviously Thornton pulls off the dive without a hitch and finds out that he passed the exam with all D's except for the one A from Diane, which again is sort of
Suspect.
Yep. He's then invited to be the commencement speaker. And,
All these. You get
yes.
right up there and
That's
tell us how
right.
you did it.
Yes.
Makes you wonder if Grand Lakes University takes education all that seriously.
I mean,
So yeah, and I remember, as you mentioned, I remember saying this a lot when I was 10 years old, and
Yeah.
I think maybe it was because of the diving team.
That could be.
Yeah,
That could
so-
be. That could be.
It wasn't the kid. It was the same guy in Legend of Billie Jean, the like senator's son. So that guy was in a few different things.
He was in
and-
Christine too.
yeah.
Ooh.
So I remember I liked him
Uh-huh.
in this movie.
Yeah.
I found Rodney Dangerfield annoying.
As
Yeah.
one does. I
Yeah.
think that's the
Mhm.
point, right,
Mhm.
of him?
Yeah.
In
I
general.
think Rodney Dangerfield's major appeal was like 10 to 12-year-old boys. That was a kind of
Yeah. Yeah. Or gun paws.
yes.
Gun
Gunpow's
Paws.
probably.
Gun Paws loved it. Loved it.
I also I know we're saying grandpa and it's gun paw, but also when you say gun paw, it just makes me think of a big bear paw for some reason.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like a bear paw around a
Bear
gun.
holding a
paw.
gun.
Like, what? Oh, all right.
So my next one is maybe a little similar to like the Cleveland Balloon Fest.
Oh.
We got a real weird event that happened in 1986, and it was called Hands Across America.
Oh, shit. Yep.
So in the mid 80s, there was a bunch of celebrity driven fundraising things, right? Like We Are the World, Live Aid, Farm Aid, Comic Relief. And maybe by 1986, people were getting tired of big stunts, maybe questioning the validity of them. I sure would. But but Ken Cragen, who is not to be confused with the Kurgan.
Oh.
Okay.
Ken Cragen.
His first name's not even the.
It's not
I,
the. You're
I
right.
couldn't,
It's
I couldn't
not
confuse him if I
confusing.
tried.
Yeah. He was a co-founder of USA for Africa, the charity organization that produced We Are the World.
Okay.
And Ken came up with this idea. He wanted to create an event across the country where people linked hands in order to fight hunger. Because that's what's going to do it, is holding hands.
Yeah, I was gonna say like we can hold hands now. It's not gonna put any food on.
It's not. It's sure not. And Ken called it Hands Across America. And from the start, it was a clusterfuck.
Shocker.
The task of planning for this transcontinental chain of people fell mostly to local political organizers.
Okay.
And it was a mess because there were a lot of people in urban areas that were willing to do
Right,
this,
yeah.
but rural areas, there were going to be big, huge swaths where just nobody's there.
Yeah.
So bus rides were organized to transport large groups of people to like
Oh my
distant rural
gosh.
spots. And some like local organizers and communities that the chain was supposed to pass through, many of them had never hosted thousands of out of town visitors before.
My.
And they were responsible for providing food and toilets for visitors. Like, just total mess, you can
It's like
imagine.
ragbri.
Yeah. So participants were encouraged to donate $10 to be
Okay.
assigned
I
a
was-
place in line.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, where's the money
Where's the
coming
money?
from?
Exactly. That was my first
Because
question.
I
and
was
it took
just
a while.
thinking, like, what does a bus ride? How much does that equal in
Right.
meals?
Exactly.
For, you
Right.
know?
Yes. And the proceeds were going to be donated to local charities to fight hunger and homelessness and help those in poverty. Participants were also encouraged to bring boom boxes
Oh yeah. Why
and
not?
portable radios so they could listen to a nationwide simulcast of the event. And so on May 25th, 1986,
Okay.
an estimated 6 million people
Wow.
held hands across the U.S. in a human chain for 15 minutes. Hundreds of radio stations across the U.S. simultaneously played a new song called Hands Across America
Oh.
at 3 p.m.
Who sang that?
I don't know, but Ken, good old Ken, he was speaking from New York, and he was leading a sing-along to We Are the World, America the Beautiful, and Hands Across America, the lyrics to which had been published in papers throughout the country the day
Okay.
before.
Sure. Yeah. So you had plenty of time to memorize it.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
So, as you can imagine, there were lots of participants on the East Coast, right? New York, Philly, New Jersey. In D.C., Reagan had said he would previously not join the chain. But in the days leading up to the event, he had made a controversial remark that where there is hunger, you have to determine that that's probably because of a lack of knowledge on the part of people as to what things are available.
Oh no.
That's bold, Ronald
It's
Reagan.
real bold.
They just
And
don't know what food is.
Exactly.
That's why they're
Yeah,
hungry.
yeah,
yeah.
So
So shortly
Have you
after
thought
that,
about buying food? Did that ever occur to you, Joyce?
Well, and here's the lovely thing. Just as happening right now, Reagan had decimated public welfare systems, public food systems, things like that. So
Which,
these remarks,
side note, famously his parents were on.
really?
He was raised in pretty much poverty, and his parents relied on state assistance later on.
Why didn't
when
they
his
pull
dad...
themselves up by the bootstraps?
And you know what? His dad could have, but gosh darn it, he was such an alcoholic, he couldn't get to work on time.
No.
That's how his dad lost his job, and they ended up on state assistance. So...
But everyone else should pull their bootstraps
Everyone
up.
else should do just
Hold
like
'em up.
he did. Yep.
So shortly after those comments, the press was very critical of that.
Fair.
So
Okay.
Reagan announced, "Oh no, we are going to join the event. We're gonna do it."
Okay.
The press secretary denied there was any connection between these two things. Him deciding to do that, of course.
Yeah, of course not.
But many activists were like, "You should not be part of this because you've just dramatically cut all these social programs."
Yeah.
Who had to hold his hand, by the way?
Great question.
Not it.
Blowjob queen of Hollywood.
I think it was Nancy. Yeah, I think poor Nancy got stuck with that. Yeah. The route itself, they skipped Iowa entirely, and they went south.
What?
They went south through Texas and Arizona, which by May is already hot as fuck. So you just got people standing out there in the desert waiting to hold hands for 15 minutes.
Oh, no.
And that's it. The event concluded after 15 minutes. And so organizers had hoped that they would raise between 50, 100 million. Okay.
Oh, no. What? Oh, no.
But the total amount was estimated at 36 million.
Oh, okay.
But then they had to pay for buses and toilets, right?
After covering operating costs, that left only 15 million to distribute it to charities.
Ooh.
And not only that, the process of paying the bills and then choosing recipient charities took months. So by the end of the year, there's still been no money dispersed. The first batch of grants was given out in January of 87. And in selecting charities, they preferred to seek those producing long-term changes rather than aiming to provide immediate relief. So no food banks, no things that are actually going to help.
Jesus.
It's probably some think tanks or bullshit,
Oh my gosh.
So what a mess. So my takeaway from this was, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, besides holding hands to solve hunger, that's some performative bullshit.
Yeah.
This felt like 1986's version of social media posts that are so tone deaf that they hurt.
Yes.
And it's nice to see that 40 years later, Trump is like, Reagan, hold my beer, because I'm going to be gutting all the programs. Not even holding hands is going to help.
No.
It's nice too that other people saw the bullshittery, because there's a in the movie Us by Jordan Peele, they kind of mimic this Hands Across America thing. There's a whole the tethered are holding their hands, and it's supposed to sort of evoke that creepy ass thing. Because Jordan Peele said I would see pictures and be like, that is creepy as fuck, and so he used it in a horror film, which is great.
It is kind of creepy. You're gonna bus me to some place, and I'm just gonna hold hands with someone, and
Right.
then this is somehow gonna translate.
It's
into...
gonna solve everything. Gonna solve it.
And obviously, they didn't tap into our mindset of people, because I'd have been like, I'll give you the $10, but
Right.
I'm not going.
I'll give you 15
yeah.
if you leave me alone.
Yeah. You know what? I'll 20 if I never have to hear about this again.
I'll give you 25 if you give it directly to a food bank.
Yeah.
Or to
In fact,
some
scratch that, give me back my 20. I'll drive it to the food bank and we'll talk later.
Anyway, Hands Across America. So, obviously that's what we need to do to solve the fuckery that's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just hold some hands.
Just hold some hands.
Maybe hand jobs across America.
Oh, that would be better. That would solve a lot more issues.
Just don't bust people
true.
together. We don't need to get in groups for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Circle jerk for the Constitution.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it.
Well, I'm going to go to a different magical place besides
great.
holding hands across America.
Okay.
And I'm, again, going to take a foray into talking about a movie, which is scary for this member of Fuzzy Memories. But
No.
this one I feel pretty confident about. It's called My Little Pony, the movie.
Oh.
And
Yep. Didn't see
much
this
like
one.
your Highlander, it was a disaster.
Oh, great.
It's just a disaster. So
Somebody last night just asked me if I know what a brony is, and I was like, "Yeah, it's a guy, it's an adult man, a bro who likes My Little Ponies."
yeah.
That's old news.
yeah.
Yeah, that's been around a
Yeah.
while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's common knowledge, right?
Mhm.
So My Little Pony was seeing some success on TV. Their toys were taking off. And naturally, what do? If you're a, company that has this kind of hot commodity, you make it a movie.
Damn right.
Now, some companies might take their time and really make this movie work.
That's silly.
But that's not going to get the money in your pocket,
no.
right? So they went ahead and they came up with a plan. And the plot was simple. Ponyland
Nope.
comes under attack from the schmooze.
The schmooze?
The schmooze.
Is that the same as the ooze from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's a play on it
Yeah.
because it's a massive purple ooze
No.
created by an evil witch who plans to destroy the pony's annual spring festival.
Wow, this is really phoning it in. This is
Yeah.
Phoning it in.
Uh-huh,
This feels like, yeah. I mean, there's so many things wrong with this. Clearly, first, there was no writer's room.
no.
Clearly, it was just a guy that
It was Phil in a marketing meeting. Just
Yeah. What about, oh God, that one guy, Slimer's
Schmooze.
really cool. Schmooze? What if we just called it schmooze? I think we could avoid any kind of suing situation.
Yeah.
And it's just purple goo. That's easy to draw.
what is that supposed to do to ponies? Like, how are ponies going to be defeated by goo?
Right. I don't know.
Ponies can ride right through that.
Ponies can gallop on
They
their
can
way.
jump on over it.
I mean, I guess it might get in their illustrious pony
Well,
hair,
they can
but
deal.
yeah. What's more shocking is that right out of the gate they thought, let's get some actors assigned to this. They got
no.
Danny DeVito.
Oh,
Madeline Kahn and Cloris Leachman all signed on,
What?
and I'm assuming before they read the script to do this. So the movie immediately became a critical and financial bomb during its theatrical run, grossing only an estimated $6 million worldwide, and their budget was $5.5 million.
Oh, that's some hands across America math. That's what
sure
that
is.
It is.
Sure is.
And this came on the heels of the Transformers, the movie, being a huge bomb. So the studio said, you know what? We're not going to do the animated Gem and the Holograms movie. And the G.I. Joe movie, we're going to push direct to video because we're not doing well in theaters.
The art isn't that great either.
No, it's bad.
No.
It's really
it's looking
bad.
real like
It's
sketchbook
real
type stuff.
sketchy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So according to creative consultant, this is the type of thing, I'm going to give you an anecdote here because this is the type of thing that was going on behind the scenes with this movie. So
Great.
it's really quick to understand why this was so rough.
Okay.
According to creative consultant Buzz Dixon, when a group of ponies...
Buzz Dixon?
Buzz Dixon was the creative consultant.
from My Little Pony. Buzz
When a group of
Dixon.
ponies go into the human world to get help, he pitched a scene featuring the ponies approaching Optimus Prime from the Transformers
Oh.
No.
and Shipwreck from G.I. Joe to help, thinking like cross promotion.
Okay.
While the specifics of Optimus Prime's cameo are unknown, Shipwreck scene would have apparently featured him outside a bar, drinking amber liquid from a bottle. And as the pony spoke to him, Shipwreck would just stare at her in bug-eyed disbelief, and then she'd just fly away. Shipwreck would smash the bottle, take his cap off his head, put his left hand over his heart, raise his right hand in an oath to quit drinking.
Oh.
Hasbro execs thought the idea was hilarious. They really liked it, but then
okay.
ultimately decided that might not work in a My Little Pony movie meant for
I
basically
wonder, like,
young girls.
what they imagined the Venn diagram of My Little Pony versus G.I. Joe fans
And
were.
Optimus Prime
And
from
Optimus
Transformers.
Prime.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing
Because,
a lot
like,
of
I'm going to
overlap.
say at 5 years old, I was the target for this movie.
Sure.
Like, I was the target. I had a My Little Pony. Like, this was right up my alley.
Yeah.
I don't have a specific memory of seeing it. I remember seeing it later on TV. I don't have a specific memory of seeing it in the theater. But I remember the show, and I remember collectively, like, everyone kind of agreed the movie was bad. Like, even 5-year-olds were like, I like the TV show. Like, so I don't know if you're looking at that demographic, how you're like, we'll put in Optimus Prime and Shipwreck, and this will be great.
This is going to be it.
This is going to be the cross promotion we need.
Mm-hmm.
And they just pushed the shit out, and then they were shocked when everyone was like, you can keep it. It's actually not that great.
I wonder if Buzz Dixon went on to great fame and fortune after this.
I love that he's a creative consultant too, because his paycheck was so much bigger than like the actual people working.
Oh, yeah.
Creative consultant. And what's your resume, Buzz Dixon?
Yeah.
Like, what other creative things have you done? Because that was your best idea for My Little Pony.
Oh, Buzz.
Was Shipwreck was going to be an alcoholic and turn his life around in the middle of the movie? Not help the ponies though. They're just screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it, really. I mean,
Oh, wow.
they gave up after that and said, we'll just stick to TV shows. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry we did that, everyone. We're good. We're good.
Sorry, everybody.
But for to be so bad that they pulled 2 other movies that they had in production tells you that there was some tough conversations. And I'm assuming maybe Buzz Dixon didn't need a W-9 the next year because he was no longer a consultant.
Poor Buzz.
I will say, I remember seeing the Transformers movie
Yeah.
when it came out, and I mean, I don't remember thinking it was bad. I do remember being disappointed because all of the characters like die in the first 20 minutes, and then it's just new characters for the rest of it. It was like, I don't think that's really the way to get kids to like this. Is it's all people they don't know.
It seemed like this was around the time of the golden era in the 80s of like, it's just a cash grab. Like we're trying to get as much money as we can from name recognition, and then we'll try and do something weird, like introduce all these new characters so we can continue this line for years and years and years. But
more toys.
Yeah, they wanted to sell more toys, so they kill off all these characters and have all these new ones, and now you got to go buy all these new toys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I'm not going to watch that.
You shouldn't.
Okay.
I had a different reaction. I was like, maybe I want to watch that later.
I mean, there's a part of me that kind of does. Like in the right frame of mind.
I think I just need to go back and watch Highlander now because I need to see.
Maybe we just found the best trilogy ever, which is Highlander, Back to School, My Little
Damn,
Pony.
now that's a drive-in movie night.
Yes.
Right
That
there.
is.
Yeah.
That's really
perfect.
feel in your 80s.
That's right.
Movie night. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we want to make it 4 movies.
Oh,
You really want to go.
What?
I offer you An American Tale.
Oh my god.
I fucking love this movie. I love this movie so much. I won a coloring contest for this movie. I get to see it for free.
What? When you started talking about the cartoon just now, I was like, oh, she's going to talk about An American Tale.
No.
Ooh.
I couldn't.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen that much excitement from Aaron
I
ever.
loved, first of all, to win a coloring contest was like my dream when I was little.
Yeah.
And I got to take 4 friends with me. I got to start the movie in the movie theater. We got free popcorn and we were the only people there. I got my own private screening of An American Tale.
Wow.
At age 5
Wow.
or 6 or
Yeah,
whatever?
around there.
Wow.
Like you got to turn the switch on the projector?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh. How did you get from the projector room back down to your seat without missing anything?
No, wait. It was the sequel, Fievel Goes West.
Oh.
That's what the coloring contest was for. Yeah. But I did love this movie, which is why the minute that they put out a coloring contest for Fievel
sure.
yeah, because I was like, I wasn't 5. I was a couple years older.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Because I spent some time on that sucker, as evidenced by my win, or no one else entered. We don't know. But anyway, sorry. American Tale was phenomenal, though.
Okay.
I love the idea, though, that a bunch of the people that work at the movie theater like have all these coloring pages spread out over a table. Right, and they're like picking who's his best.
That's true. When you think about it now, you're like, they're probably just like, this girl went way too far. We should probably just give her a win.
She's going to need this.
She's shading. How did she even do that with a marker? So yeah, I have a deep love for all things Fievel.
All right. Well,
Mouskowitz.
I hope I can honor your deep love.
Yeah. No
all
pressure.
all I can remember is somewhere out there. Yeah, that's all.
So yes, Fievel Mouskowitz, our hero of the story, which begins in the late 1800s in Russia, where the Mouskowitz family is celebrating Hanukkah, or Chanukah, if you're Smokey Robinson.
And she's fallen to the floor.
Oh my god, I swear to God, he's always waits until I take a drink. And he looked right at me like, I know I got her with this one. Ooh, okay.
So during the celebration, Fievel's father is telling him about the United States, a country he claims doesn't have any cats. Establishing so we are establishing Fievel's father as a known liar.
Yeah. Right from the jump.
Yep.
He's an
Okay.
idiot. Okay.
The celebration is interrupted when a group of Cossacks and their cats ride through town and destroy the village in an anti-Semitic attack.
Jesus Christ, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, which seems like a lot for the first act of an animated movie for kids.
That's a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's intense.
So we're taking on pogroms in the 1800s.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So the Mouskowitz home is destroyed and they flee to Germany. where they get on a boat bound for New York City. And I spent more time than I should have. Like, where'd the boat leave from
where's the
Germany? I
boat
mean, like,
from?
I guess it went up a river and then that went out to the ocean. Like, I would have thought they would have gone to
Germany's
France.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Yeah.
Mhm. So, yeah, a couple of things at this point. It's wild. They're just suggesting that all cats are Nazis. Like, I feel like
You're right.
Uh-huh.
Damn
Yeah.
it. Well, I need to have a conversation with the cats. Make sure they're not.
Right, yeah, double check.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again with the Nazi thing, like, I mean, would you go to Germany? I guess this was
Yeah,
said
no.
before. World
Yeah,
War
I don't.
II, so,
Yeah. I would. Yeah, not your safest bet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So on the boat to New York, Fievel's dad keeps pushing this fake news about no cats in America. This bullshit story.
So he's QAnon.
Yep. The ship encounters a storm, and Fievel is washed overboard because he is a mouse.
Oh, poor
Mhm.
Fievel.
He gets into a bottle though and floats the rest of the way to New York, which I would imagine would just take months. Like,
Yeah,
you
a
know.
long time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
His family just assumes he's drowned, and they pick up the pieces relatively quickly and kind of move on with their lives.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do.
Mhm.
It's shocking.
Yep.
Maybe that's what I related to.
Moving on.
Oops, we lost her.
Well, that took care of that.
I knew the ship ride was good for something.
Yep.
So when Fievel finally arrives in New York, he's bummed out that he's lost his family, but he gets a pretty solid pep talk from a French pigeon named Henry and decides to look for his family.
Does Henry have a French accent?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Henry's actually Scottish. You're doing a French
Right,
accent,
right,
so it
right.
sounds more Scottish.
Perfect.
Fievel is quickly sold into indentured servitude and starts working a sweatshop because
Yep. This is a dark
because
movie.
again this French pigeon was not bleak enough.
Yeah. No. And also, you know, as a person in watching the movie, there are cats here. This is
Uh-huh.
going
Yeah,
to come to
there's cats.
fruition.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Since it's New York City in the late 1800s, there's immigrant mice from all over the place. You've got Italian mice, you've got Irish mice, you've got an alcoholic mouse who's a politician who would love to help find his family, but they're not registered to vote yet. And voter registration files are the only way this mouse politician knows how to find somebody.
Who the fuck wrote this? Okay.
So they're at a rally to try and figure out what to do about the cats, which is something I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
mice still do today.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, what do we do with these fucking cats? The mice all figure out that the guy who sold Fievel to the sweatshop is bad news. Yeah, no shit.
Okay, yeah.
Turns out they're right because the guy was a cat in disguise as a mouse, which seems like a difficult thing to pull off just size-wise, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's
even-
absurd.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
Oh.
forgot about that part.
yeah. I feel like a cat old enough to stay in character as this mouse would be
Yeah.
too big to be, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People would be like, "You're a
I
giant
actually, the whole
mouse."
premise too, like, I think that cats are bothered by mice when they enter their space, but I just don't think they
Right.
care enough to go out and about hunting them down.
So after Fievel figures out that this mouse is really a cat, Fievel gets locked up by the cats, but he lucks out because his guard is a vegetarian cat. And Fievel talks him into letting him go. This cat doesn't want to eat Fievel because he's just into like carrots and broccoli.
I have never met a goddamn vegetarian cat in my life.
No.
And everyone knows that cat vegetarians are easily manipulated.
Very, yes. Because they're just hungry.
Uh-huh.
They're just hungry.
So hungry.
So Fievel races down to the piers and gets there just in time to see the mice unleash their secret weapon, which was a giant mechanical mouse that chases all of the cats into the water. You know how cats don't like water. So a boat bound for Hong Kong picks them all up, and I don't know if that was racist somehow. I don't know if this was sort of a weird, off-color, not great joke.
Oh, no, you're right. It probably was.
It had to be,
Oh,
now that I think
God.
about it.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Still love it.
Mhm.
Moving on.
Nothing's going to change it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So at this point, Fievel now has been reunited with his family, but they get separated again after a fire on the pier. And I think maybe it's time for the Moskowitz family to just sort of like, we're going to meet by this tree every day at 3.
Yep.
Like, we're going to figure out a way to like...
We need to establish a
Right.
safe spot.
Yes.
Yeah. Regroup
Yes,
spot.
I like that.
So Fievel ends up in an orphanage now after he's been separated from his family, right?
The movie was over by the Hong Kong part, but okay.
So Fievel then gets mocked by the other orphans because he's looking for his family instead of his family looking for him. And I feel like these orphans are assholes.
Yeah, way to probe at a, hurted area.
Yeah.
A painful area.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Fievel now is finally reunited with his family. And who's laughing now, orphans?
Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Orphans.
Fuck you, orphans, and your mouse orphanage.
You're never going to get your family back.
And then the movie ends with that French pigeon claiming that he built the Statue of Liberty.
Okay. I do want to point out in my quest to find the writer of this weird ass thing, the Google says in a nutshell, this is uplifting, cheerful, and optimistic. I'm not getting that from what Heath just described.
Yeah.
I don't remember feeling optimistic after it. I remember feeling like it was a dark movie.
I mean, the whole premise of the movie is like a child is like, ripped from his family and like is just sort of out in the world alone. I mean, that was the song.
Yes,
Somewhere
out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although it does remind, I guess there were a lot of stories of orphans around this time. And like The Secrets of Nim was around this time, which was devastating.
Mm-hmm. The song, though, it was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Song. It did lose to Take My Breath Away from Top Gun. Which,
was it Linda Ronstadt and Aaron Neville?
Yes.
James Ingram.
James Ingram.
But it does... But yeah, she said that song with she sings with Aaron Neville. It reminded me of that too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Side note about that song: my senior prom,
Oh no,
a girl in my class and her boyfriend sang that to each other. That was part of the prom entertainment.
No.
I don't know much, but I know I love you.
Oh God.
Oh my God, you can't do Aaron Neville.
But what's great is her boyfriend, who was a year younger than us, was not very bright. And imagine, as a teacher, sitting there and having to watch this kind of dumb punk sing this song that's I don't know much, but I know I love you. I'm sure the teacher's like, you're right, you don't know much. Also, you don't love her because you're like 17 years old and you're just like, you're just touching butts or whatever you two do for
touching butts. Just boop, boop. And what was your reaction to this performance at your senior prom?
I remember not being surprised by it. I didn't know it was going to happen, and just kind of sitting there being like, because neither one of them were in vocal, like they weren't particularly good singers, and I still to this day don't know how.
I think you need to go back to the source there and say what teacher approved this as prom entertainment, and where were they at in the school year and everything? Because like, was it 5:00 and you caught someone walking out and you're like, we want to do this thing at prom, and they're like, sure.
That's a good point.
Okay.
So The Land Before Time, not The Land Before Time, An American Tale was the
Don't
highest.
confuse two dark movies.
I was just that's the point I was going to make. It was the highest grossing non-Disney cartoon until The Land Before Time came out, which is another bleak look at a parentless existence for a child.
No wonder we have the mindsets that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And what's weird is that I remember having such a deep love for American Tail, and Land Before Time just wrecked me.
Yeah.
I never recovered from Land Before Time. I was like, keep your fucking hand puppets away from me. That movie is not to be recreated with your tiny children playthings.
And and they're both from Don Bluth. The same guy came up with both of them.
Yeah.
I had that reaction to The Secrets of Nim. That was where I was like, nope, can't deal with any of this, and I'm never mowing the grass ever again. So that's what's happening.
Oh my God.
Wow. What a year. And what a quartet of films. You're right. Like,
Yeah,
that's a
what
whole
a
good
journey.
day. That's
What a
good
journey.
day.
Yeah.
You want to feel all the emotions?
Yep.
We got you covered.
We got you covered.
Maybe that's like we should start packaging the movies we talk about in one episode as like, this is what you should, if you like this, you should watch this and this. But they're just these 4 random movies together that somebody's like, I don't get why they put these together.
Because it works, okay?
Because it was 1986.
Yeah.
And people were holding hands to stop hunger.
To stop hunger.
We don't know what was up and what was down. Rodney Dangerfield gone to college and never even graduated high school. We don't know.
Yeah. It also made me think, Evan's going to college this fall. How likely is it that you will join him there?
I'm going to go negative 2%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, just based on
everything?
Everything.
Okay.
One, I don't, he doesn't want that.
No.
I mean, that's the obvious reason.
Yeah.
2, I don't want that. 3, I mean, I spent a little time now with the college visit and then when he had his audition and stuff. And I can tell you that that's a young man's game.
Yeah, no.
Like, no, thank you.
Sounds terrible.
No. I sort of do feel bad for, I don't know if you guys had like non-traditional students in your classes ever, like at UNI, there was always a few, and they were always asked like all the questions. And I remember being like a 20-year-old punk that was like, shut the fuck up so we can get out of this class. Like, why are you asking follow-up questions? And now I realize.
you could be that student.
I realized that would be how I would be. I'd be like,
Yeah.
but wait, because at that stage you are more ready to like
Yeah, you
learn
wanna
and
learn.
understand things. And also I didn't give them enough credit for how much energy and time it takes to like get to a class, you know?
Man,
Didn't
you
seem
could
like
go
that big
there
a
and
deal.
just make a bunch of teenage enemies.
Pissed off. Be
Yeah.
like, who wants to be in my group for group project? Good, because I'm doing it by myself.
I got this.
I got this. All right.
Good talk, everybody.
1986.
Good job. Yep.
Fuzzy Memories is a Broads and Books production. It's hosted by Heath Smith, Aaron Johnston, and Amy Lee Lillard. Big thanks to our supporters on Patreon, especially those at the Make Me Famous level, including Haley Scarpino, Nick Thornton, Daniela Barzalo, Matthew Serback, and Last Name Greatest. Sign up at our Patreon for bonuses and new stuff. And be sure to follow us at Fuzzy Memories Pod on Instagram for clips and highlights. See you next time.
Do it.
Whatever.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
mean, they didn't need to do any entertaining. Like we
No.
could have just eaten the rice pilaf or whatever it is they gave us and
Yeah.
just
They
like
gave
go to
you
the
food?
dance. Yeah,
Ours was that way
Oh.
too. It was like a dinner and then the dance at the same
Oh.
place. Yeah.
ours was in the gym.
Oh.
Yeah, half the gym was where we had dinner, and then you went to the other side, and that's where
We
the dance
got
was.
fancy, and ours was in a hotel. It was dinner, and then they moved the tables out, some of the tables out, and then it was a dance.
Ours was at the Historical Society,
Oh,
just downtown.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
But we
fun.
didn't get no food.
Yeah, like you did the eating before. That's how Evans is too.
I always feel like when it's prom season, like downtown, you can tell it's
Oh,
prom
man.
season because lots on Saturday late afternoon, there's all the kids dressed up and they go out, and I always feel so bad for the wait staff.
Me
At
too.
restaurants because
Bad.
they have to work just as hard as normal, and those
And those kids
18-year-olds
aren't tipping.
they are not
They're
giving
not.
tips.
No, I know. And they're all ordering weird things because they go to places that they don't know what they should order.
Right.
So they're like, I'll just get a side of onion rings, a side of French fries,
Yeah.
and 3 chicken fingers on the side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.